going on, ladies and gents? Welcome to episode 21 of the Feel for Football podcast. I'm your host, Sanchez Bailey, and the timestamp right now is 32 minutes past midnight, Sunday night, Monday morning. It's crazy, yeah. I've had a few unforeseeable circumstances over the weekend, which made me think originally to postpone the episode. However, I'm feeling the responsibility to ensure that Mondays you get a message, and I guess that's testament to how the podcast is growing, and I hope at least someone listens to this now out of the effort. I'm quite tired, but I'm actually very keen to pass on this message that I want to declare and convey today. And so, let's think about the Premier League and use that as an example. Sorry, excuse me. We're 11 games in, and usually at this time of the season you might be approaching about halfway of the season, maybe just after the Christmas period, where it's the 7th of December. This time of the year is quite a reflective time when most people will start thinking about how their year has gone, and 2020 has been one of those years, or I can't even say one of those years because there's no year to compare it to, really. It's been a crazy year, let's just say that. But footballing wise, I think it's a good opportunity to take a time to reflect on how well your season has gone. So most of you, if you've been following the podcast and applying some of the things, you would have had goals for the season. Even if you haven't been following the podcast, like most people have goals for the season. And so we're at a stage now, being maybe a quarter in or maybe a third of the way in the season, that you would have had opportunities to work on a few things or achieve a few things that will be actually stepping stones towards your overall goal. And so what am I trying to say? Where it's a good time now to reflect on how well you've actually worked towards that goal. Not many people would have achieved their goals a third of the way in or a quarter into the season, but it's a great opportunity now for you to figure out what you've done and whether they are contributing steps and progression towards your goal, and maybe what you could do to actually improve and enhance those steps. And so this episode will be entitled quarter season audit, or maybe half season audit, just for understanding and stuff. So it's you taking this time out now to identify and ask yourself a number of questions, identify particular areas, praise yourself in areas where you need to be praised, and challenge yourself in ways that you need to be challenged. And to be honest, considering the time and everything and the way that, this episode won't be long, but definitely I'll be giving you the tools to at least have yourself or provide yourself with an internal reflective audit so that you can strategize and, set yourself targets and work towards achieving more and achieving some for the rest of this season. So I've actually written it down, and the only reason why I'm going to check my notes, it's embedded in me, but I want to make sure that I don't actually miss any bit of information. And so I don't even know, I'm looking at the notes right now, but the first thing you really need to identify is what your season goal is. So everyone should have that. I encourage everyone to write that down. If you have a mindset planner, it's in your mindset planner. So what is your season goal? So let's just use an example of a player. Maybe Lacazette. Let's use Lacazette as an example. His season target might actually be to break the 20 goal season mark for him in his career at Arsenal. He hasn't done that yet, I don't think. So that might just be season goal. So identify your season goal. The next thing that you want to be asking yourself is, what have you done that contributes to that goal? Now, this is actually an opportunity for you to praise yourself. This is an opportunity for you to highlight some of the things that may not necessarily be highlighted by many, but that it's the right things leading to your overall goal. So let's just use Lacazette as an example again. He actually started the season very well. He was scoring, I think, in 2 to 3 consecutive games. This will be an opportunity and an example that you should be taking. Let's just say he played Aston Villa and Burnley first few games of the season. identify that and scoring the first goal, scoring a variety of goals. I think he scored a header and maybe a left foot shot. Now, you're using these things to answer this question. What have you done to contribute to that goal? You've been scored in the opening games. You went 2 to 3 consecutive games scoring. And this is an opportunity for you to actually give yourself a bit of credit. As human beings, it's our human nature to really focus on the things that we haven't done and the negatives, and take this opportunity to praise yourself in terms of the things that you have done well and done contributing to that goal. And the next thing we're going to look at is, what have you shown that are signs of the goal being achieved? So again, I'm not ignorant to the fact that some people may not have had things go smooth sailing. Some people may have had injuries. Some people may have had the lack of game time, and so I don't want to give you any discouraged by not having questions that you can't answer. So this question here is, no matter what situation someone is in, even if you're injured and you're out for a while, what have you shown that are signs of the goals being achieved? Is your mind right? Are you planning? Are you scheduling things? Are you watching your footage back? And are you putting yourself in the situation of being competitive? Are you stimulating your mind via imagery and visualization? What are you doing that are signs? So maybe it might just be you doing extra work in training, or maybe doing extra work in rehab. And what are you doing? Yeah, so this is an opportunity for, yes, you may have praised yourself and said that the things that you've done, but it might not be things that you have done on the pitch, maybe leading towards your goal, or whatever the situation is. This second question forces you to identify the very insignificant, and maybe the things that you wouldn't even think are the actual contributions to your season goal. Sorry. All right. So the next thing now is scoring yourself. Now, I've actually created a scoring system that I think is just very to the point, and I don't really like scoring systems because a lot of the times, if you give someone a score of 1 to 10, it's usually going to be about 7 or 8, because it's a safe number. It doesn't sound too low, it doesn't sound too high, like you're overconfident. So I've got a free scoring system for us to get direct to the point. So considering the questions you've asked already in terms of what have you done to contribute to your season goal and what have you shown that are signs of the goal being achieved, I want you now to be able to assess yourself and what you've done this season so far in leading up to you contributing to that actual season goal that you've made. So obviously you haven't done the goal, and considering we're only a third of the way in or a quarter of the way in for some, the goal shouldn't actually be near achieved anyway. You should make minute steps, or maybe you may have overachieved. However, this is your opportunity to actually score yourself in terms of how well you've done so far. So you got a score from 1 to 3. Now, the reason why I scored it 1 to 3 is because you will soon hear it, but even if you're doing really well, or even if you've underachieved, your answer should be that you're still not content, or how can I say, you're not content, but you're not resting. You still want more. Everyone should still want more at this particular time. And so the scoring system is to follow. You're scoring yourself as 1 when you're not happy because you feel like you've underachieved. 2, you're content, you've done okay, you're really happy, it could have been better maybe. You really outdone yourself. And then thirdly is that you've achieved well, but you want more. So what does the scoring system show? It shows that no matter what stage you're at, you still want more, so even number 2 will be something that you still want more even though you're content. So it's identifying where you're at and how you assess what you've done so far, but at the same time, even though you're scoring yourself, the end result is that you still want more. Yeah. So that's what I would like you to do to actually score the things that you've done so far this season. This is where it gets really important. To be honest, once that happens, this is, you know, the business end of this audit, where you identify what more could you have done to work towards your season goal. So what more could you have done? Could you have been training more? Could you have been maybe eating right? Could you have been doing an extra bit of fitness? Could you have been putting a little bit more work in rehab? Like, what more could you have done to work towards that overall season goal? And this is where you have to take an honest time and a moment to be honest with yourself. You know, does your goal need amending? You know, I've had some goals this season, and actually I had a goal that I achieved last week. You may have seen already, but I featured on Sky Sports News. One of my goals was actually to make a media appearance, maybe like an article or appearance like what just was done. And I didn't think it was going to happen this year, to be honest. So I actually then amended that goal and put that for 2021. You know, you just blame COVID, right? Like, maybe that might, but you know, I still done the things that were needed to get to that goal, and it happened, thank God. And then I'm grateful. You know, I've had, thank God. Anyway, so I had to get to a point where I had to amend my goal, and so this is where some people may have had 20 goals a season. Maybe for someone like Lacazette right now, as we've been using, I don't know how many goals he's got this season. He may just still have 3 Premier League goals. Maybe he might need to amend that goal. So yeah, that's something that you should consider. And then the next question is, what you can ask yourself is, what can be considered as a halfway point? So let's just say Laka now, he wants 20 goals a season, might have to amend it, but what is a halfway point? What is a halfway goal? So let's just say it's still going to be 20, maybe him getting to 10 goals is his halfway. So he's already got 3. So that sounds a whole lot better, right? You've got 3 goals and you're now working towards 10. That sounds a little bit more challenging and more stimulating and more achievable, you know. So you can work towards that, and it's realistic. And you know, if he scores 2 goals next game, he's halfway of that halfway mark. And that's where, you know, yourselves now, if you have a halfway goal, it gives you that extra bit of motivation and encouragement as to keep doing what you're doing, essentially, and maybe work a little bit more to get towards that goal. So that's why having a halfway goal will be important, because it gives you that extra boost, and reinforces that you're doing the right things that contribute to your overall goal. So if you haven't done that already this season, I definitely would recommend having a halfway goal. And then this is where this concludes. But what do you need to do to get to that point? What things do you need to do to get to that halfway point? You know, do you need to be shooting a lot more in training? Do you need to be speaking to your coach to find out how to get into that team and to actually get the game time? Do you actually need to speak to your physio to set targets and set goals and set regular achievements so that you can feel like you're developing in your rehab? What do you need to do to get to your overall target? And that's what's going to make you work towards achieving your goals, and feeling like you're achieving things as you pursue that, you know. And so that's pretty much this episode now. It hasn't been long, but I believe that this information is vital, and it's important to have this audit every so often, so you're reflecting and you're identifying how things are going. We don't want to wait to the end of the season to start thinking about how things went. And if you could write this down, this would be great. And if you write this down now, this helps you at the end of the season to be able to reflect on your season a lot more. So if you reflect this now, and write down, you know, the answers to the things that I mentioned in this episode, then we'll have another halfway target, and you'll maybe have your penultimate audit towards the end of the season, and then it makes your end of the season reflection so much more informative, because you've got all this information collated that allows you to know where you were at different stages as well, where your mind was at, where your actual end product was at too. So I hope that adds value to you guys. What my plan is very soon is to do some episodes pertaining to coaches, but I'll still make it worthwhile, like a listen for players that are the players essentially. But I do think it's going to be good to explore the world of coaches as well, and I think it'll be very informative to players, but also encouraging too. So listen, all the best. Any questions, let me know. Stay in touch. I would love to hear from you. I've been hearing as well from a few this week, so it's always good to hear. And rolling on to next week. All right, peace.